All the waste in a year from a nuclear power plant can be stored under a desk. Ronald Reagan, 1980. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Some of you may have a good understanding about how nuclear energy works, and others may be completely uninformed. Nuclear energy is important to understand because it's a heavily debated political topic, and it will likely play a significant role in the powering of our future. And unless your name is Fred Flintstone and you live in a cave, you use electricity, so this is relevant to you. A little bit about myself. I'm a student studying mechanical engineering here at Iowa State, so I've taken a couple classes where I've learned a little bit about how nuclear energy works, and it also just naturally intrigues me, so I've researched it a little bit on my own time. The federal government should add the topic of energy to the middle and high school science curriculums by 2025. Today I'll be telling you about why American citizens are generally undereducated about nuclear energy and how this is harmful to our environment and economy. To begin, we need to understand the problem. The general population of the United States being undereducated about nuclear energy is harmful to the environment and economy. General misinformation about nuclear energy has led to a fear or stigma around it. According to Thomas Geraldine in 2015 in an article in New Scientist, the degree of public anxiety over nuclear power seems frozen in time, owing more to 1945 than anything else. And if we recall from history class, 1945 was the year that we nuked Japan, thus ending the Second World War. And what he meant by this was that since its inception for the purpose of destruction, anything with the word nuclear attached to it has cast a far and dark shadow of fear. This fear of nuclear energy has recently led to a decrease of its use, increasing reliance on dirtier energy creation methods. According to the United States Energy Information Administration, unlike fossil fuel-fired power plants, nuclear power plants do not produce air pollution or CO2. This means that the only greenhouse gas byproducts of a nuclear plant are those created in the actual construction of the plant itself. Another problem is that the government has created unrealistic safety standards for nuclear energy, deeming it economically futile. Expensive, right? According to Charles D. Ferguson in his 2011 book, Nuclear Energy, What Everyone Needs to Know, there's been a zero-tolerance safety culture created around nuclear energy, resulting in impractical safety standards. And historically, there's really only been two truly catastrophic nuclear accidents in all of history. The first of which being Chernobyl, which was due to a poor, outdated plant design that we never even used in America. And the second of which was Fukushima, which was literally hit by a tsunami. And aside from these two extreme examples, nuclear power has proven itself over the past few decades to be both safe and reliable. Now that you can understand the problem, it's important to understand one of the counter-arguments that could be made to my claim. Nuclear energy could not be realistically taught at a K-12 level. This counter-argument would say that it's too complex to be watered down to the level that the average adolescent could understand. And yeah, I suppose if you want to understand everything that's going on in this picture, you need to have knowledge on physics, chemistry, and thermodynamics. And the other part of this argument would be that middle and high school teachers would not be qualified to teach on the subject. According to teachercertificationdegrees.com, one must get a bachelor's degree in the subject in which they'd like to teach. And the likelihood that there would be a person with a nuclear engineering or physics degree willing to teach at every high school in the United States is extremely unlikely. The federal government should add the topic of energy to middle and high school science curriculums by 2025. This education will decrease public fear surrounding nuclear energy and will allow for the amending of nuclear policies. Fear surrounding nuclear energy is a product of misinformation. According to Steve Bias in an article in New American in 2019, popular culture has contributed heavily to the fear of nuclear power. By popular culture, I mean like comic books, video games, movies. And it makes sense that if your sole information source about something is movies, then you're going to have misconceptions. So in order to properly educate the public, this topic should be taught in middle and high school science classes. According to Scientific American in 2012, in an article written by their board of editors, in a 2009 study conducted by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 15-year-olds in the United States placed 23rd in science and 31st in math out of 65 countries. In addition to that, only 1/3 of 8th graders qualified as proficient in science and math. And to raise these numbers, we can, one, in middle school, teach about energy in our general science classes, and two, in high school, have an optional energy class where students will learn the truth about all sorts of energies, from coal to solar to nuclear. And this will in turn raise their general STEM understanding. In conclusion, the federal government should adjust the middle and high school science curriculum to include the topic of energy. Today we talked about the environmental and economic consequences stemming from the undereducation of the American public on nuclear energy and what can be done to fix it. And since you're all obviously already past high school, you missed out on this great opportunity. So what I'd like you to do is go learn a little bit about the truth of nuclear energy. A way that you can do that is by watching a documentary that I recommend called Pandora's Promise. And quickly elaborating on the name of the documentary, if we remember from Greek mythology, or not, when Pandora opened the box, all the world's evil was unleashed. And once all that escaped from the box, she found one thing remaining at the bottom: hope. And I think that this story is thoroughly synonymous with nuclear, having negative beginnings with positive potential.